75-year-old Mona Shaw is a Comcast customer in Virginia. She ordered the Comcast bundled service. Any of you have bundled service from cable? She got high-speed internet, cable, and the landline telephone. She's very excited about saving money on this service. But then the tech didn't show up on the designated day. 2 days later, the Comcast technician finally arrived at her home. And then she said the next day, a Friday, Comcast inadvertently shut down all of her services, her cable, her internet, and her telephone. Well, Mona cut off her regular landline phone when she subscribed to Comcast, so now she has no telephone service, and she couldn't even call Comcast to complain. So 75-year-old Mona and her husband Don hop in the car and they drive to Comcast to complain about the cable being shut down. She arrives at Comcast and the receptionist directs Mona and her husband to wait outside, literally outside on a bench in the middle of August. For 2 hours, Mona and her husband Don sit on the bench and they wait and they wait. And then 5 minutes after 5, the receptionist pokes her head out the door and says, "I'm sorry, the manager has left for the day." Can you imagine that? They waited for 2 hours, and now they're told that the manager has left for the day. So what else could Mona and her husband do? Nothing but go back home. So they drive back to their home in a rural area, and they spend Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday with no cable service, no internet, and no telephone. Well, the next Monday morning, Mona gets up, she gets dressed, she puts on her makeup, and she goes out to her garage, and she grabs a hammer. And she tells Don, "We're going back up to Comcast." Now, Don had been married to Mona over 50 years. He knew by now, don't question anything. He drives her back up to Comcast, and Don says before he even got the car to a full stop, she hopped out of the car with her hammer. Mona heads straight for the receptionist, who the past Friday left her sitting on the bench. She goes up to the receptionist with her hammer and begins to bust up the computer keyboard. Then she goes for the screen, and then next she heads for the switchboard operating system. She smashes to smithereens every piece of equipment in front of her. And then she says to the yeah, go Mona! And then she says to the receptionist, holding her hammer, "Do I have your attention now?" Now, by the time it was all over, Mona was given a 3-year suspended sentence for disorderly conduct. She was fined $345, and then Comcast gave her a restraining order for 1 year. She could not go to that office for 1 year. I want to show you Mona Shaw. This is the actual Mona Shaw holding the famous hammer. Overnight, Mona became a media sensation. She was covered in primetime news stories, the subject of hundreds of blogs. She appeared on Oprah, which is where I got to see the story and hear her version for the first time. YouTube videos, many people praising Mona for her behavior. Overnight, she became a media sensation, while Comcast was left with their reputation irretrievably damaged. Now, what do you think? Was Mona Shaw justified? Was she justified with what she did? Not really. And so you say not really. Why not?
I think it went too far.
You think Mona went
just one piece of equipment.
a little far? If she just one piece of equipment might have been okay. Okay. Someone else. Was she justified? Go too far. It was okay. What do you think? Went too far. So it sounds like you're saying, yeah, went too far. So no one says, yeah. No, we got a little applause earlier from Mona. So what do you think? Do you think it was okay?
I think everybody would have the desire to do something, but never actually execute the action that she did.
Yeah, so
I thought you were going to say she came in with the hammer and said, if I don't get my service, I'm going to destroy this entire...
So more of a threat rather than actually carrying it out. Right, yes. Well, so I think most of us can agree, yeah, probably a little far. So maybe if she'd come in and made a threat, that might have been okay. Maybe. How do we end up in this place? Say that again?
Hammering home the point.
Hammering home the point. I like that. Now, I have to say, after this incident, T-shirts were printed up with Mona Shaw, her silhouette, much like the Charlie's Angels silhouette with the women holding the guns. Well, they had the Mona Shaw, the 75-year-old woman, posing to the side with her hammer, with the caption, "Have I got your attention now?" She really has become famous for this little act. But how do we get to a place where consumers get so fed up to the point that they take matters into their own hands, and in this case, using a physical weapon? What is going on here that consumers get that upset about customer service? You know, I think consumers today are saying, "I've had enough. This is much too much, and I'm going to get the service that I deserve by any means necessary." For 75-year-old Mona, that was not just making a threat, but that was going in with a hammer and getting the attention. Now, you may be wondering, did she ever get her cable restored? That was one question Oprah asked her, you know, whatever happened with that? And she said, well, by the time I got home after all of that, my cable was on, my internet, and my telephone. So I don't know if the hammer did it or if they just happened to get it together. I want you to meet today's powerful consumer. Consumers are fed up with shoddy service. They are fed up with unresponsive companies, and many are taking matters into their own hands. Fortunately, not most of them with weapons, but many are arming themselves with blogs, with Twitter, with their keyboards to lash out attacks against companies for being unresponsive. And as companies, we have got to take note of that. Sadly, Mona Shaw's display of her power as a consumer was not an isolated.